Welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you 3 crucial tips that'll keep seniors and really pretty much anybody out of harm's way. So first, what I've noticed lately is that I've seen elderly couples at parking lots where the man is assisting the female getting the groceries out of the cart and putting them into the trunk, with both of them facing the trunk and not facing any potential danger, anybody coming up to them from behind. We've seen this, and my wife has noticed it. I've noticed it, and we both think that this is a very dangerous thing. One person, preferably the man, should be turning the other way, and he can face away and grab bags out of the cart and hand them over to his wife, who will then place them into the trunk. That works. So this is a problem. Now I'm going to, as an example, one thing that I saw at the beginning of the pandemic, toilet paper was pretty short, as some of you probably remember. And I was at Walmart, and in the front of the parking lot, actually, she was parked in a handicap space. I was parked out where I normally park, but she was putting her stuff into the trunk, and it was a man. He grabbed her toilet paper as she was doing whatever, putting things in the trunk, and he snatched it, and she started screaming. I started heading up. Most people did nothing. Most people just looked over at her like she was crazy and then got in their car and left. As I was coming up, one of the big giant cart guys, looked like a high school football kid, went over and grabbed the toilet paper from him, gave it to her, and took care of business. So every once in a while, you'll find somebody that will help. But I think for the most part, we live in a time when that's going to be at a premium. It's just not the norm. I'd also like to mention that my wife one time was actually mugged in Walmart before she met me, in Walmart's parking lot, also parked up toward the front. Of course, this was at night, which is different, whole different set of risks. And while she was kicking the snot out of this guy's knees and knocking him on the ground, my wife is pretty athletic and physical, she was screaming. She was screaming at the top of her lungs. And, just nobody did anything. People just got in their cars and left. When she went into the store, the mugging was unsuccessful. But when she got into the store and told the security guards what had happened, they were acting somewhat annoyed and said, "Oh, was that you screaming?" Well, this is the thing. The security guards at Walmart or any grocery store, they're not there for you. They're not there to protect you. I'm not saying that they won't, but I'm saying that they're paid to take care of Walmart. They're going to protect Walmart and its infrastructure and its inventory. So that's 2 stories that deal with the front of the parking lot at Walmart. So when we get on later down in the video series, when I give my parking lot series, you're going to notice that I park in the back of the parking lot. There's a reason for that. And I kind of just gave you a hint as to why. Okay, second, know the surrounding buildings and stores and the buildings that surround your stores. One of our grocery stores, in fact, both of our grocery stores, I live in a small community, but both of our grocery stores have banks. That one of them is across the street, directly across the street from a grocery store, and the other one almost shares a parking lot. Now, the first, with the bank across the street, that's on a street corner where homeless people frequent. The homeless people can see a person leaving the bank, driving right across the street, the grocery store parking lot, and that just makes you a target. It makes you a better target because, you're more likely to have some cash on you if you've just left the bank. You might have been going in and making a deposit. Nobody knows. Whoever it is that's watching you from that corner doesn't know, but he knows that you're more likely to have cash. I've also on that corner seen a homeless woman with 2 children. They're holding out their signs, and okay, I'm sorry, they're probably weren't homeless, but they were portraying homeless people. And then as I'm walking around, as I'm looking around, I see 2 men that are with her that are not directly with her, but they're watching around her. This is a potentially dangerous situation for you. And you may think, okay, well, we know this homeless guy. We've seen him here for years. He's not going to harm us. But the reality is, how well do you know him? You may have known him for years, 30 seconds at a time. You know somebody for the length of time relative to the context of that meeting. So if I've known somebody for 20 years at work, I've known him for 8 hours. That's the reality. If you have known people for 2 years and let's say that you're a cashier. Oh, I've known these people for 2 years. No, you haven't. You've known these people for the 1 minute in the same environment, in the same context for 2 years. But really, you've only known them for 1 minute. When they're on their best behavior. You don't know these people. Pay attention to the buildings and what's around. And think about what kind of risk that could pose. So we have a grocery store where you're going to go spend money. We have a bank where you can go get money. And right in between, we have a person who, seemingly in a normal place for someone who's homeless, who's in a vantage point to see you exiting one and entering the other. That's dangerous. 3, I want you to understand that homeless people have nothing to lose. They can be very dangerous. They can be very nice. They might be very nice people. I don't know. But I do know that it's risky to spend time with them or really communicate with them a lot unless you know this person. You may see them every day, and they may seem normal. We have one particular individual here who seems very normal. He just seems like a normal guy. He's been out here for several years. And one time, against my better judgment, my wife wanted to go speak to him about some signs that he had up. He was holding up a sign that said, boycott whatever eating establishment. And she wanted to know why, because we eat in that establishment. And she went over and I'm like, just leave him alone. And she was like, no. So I went with her. We parked, she went across the street and asked him, why should I boycott that store or that restaurant? And then he held up another sign that was behind it and he goes like this and he goes up and he pulls out another sign that says, stop asking stupid questions. And then like, well, if you want us to boycott it, she said, what? This is my wife. If you want us to boycott it, is there a reason? Because it seems like a pretty nice restaurant. And he goes, you obviously don't know what a boycott is. And the guy flew off the handle. And he really flew off the handle when I said, okay, thank you for your time. And we started walking across the street. And my wife said, God bless you. And this guy went nuts. I thought that I was going to have to hurt him or restrain him or something like that. Fortunately, I didn't. We just got in the car and left. But that was a potentially dangerous situation. And, the same thing when the story that I told you about in the last hint about the woman. Okay, this is a woman. She's, seemingly a person who is vulnerable. And she has little children with her, which makes her even more vulnerable. But what you don't see is the two guys to her left and right that are probably 40, 50 feet away from her, seemingly minding their own business. But they are with her. You can tell they're with her if you observe long enough. You can tell. So if you avoid these three situations, you're going to be much better off. You're going to be much safer, and this will help keep you out of harm's way. I know that people aren't going to do all of these tips, but if you do just one of these tips, you're going to lower your risk quite a bit in your day-to-day life. And it's just not that hard. Okay, guys, I want you all to like, and I want you to comment. I want you to tell me your experiences in these three areas. And I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll talk to you later. Stay safe.